Welcome back to the Social Hotelier podcast with me, Sam-Erik. My guest today is Chief Executive Officer and founder of Spearhead Creativity, Paul Williams. He has been in Dubai since 2006, and with his company, he's providing brand marketing, creative design, and public relation activities for hospitality companies. So welcome to our show today.
Hey, Sam, how are you?
I'm good. I'm very glad that we are connected again after a long time. We both were in Dubai at the same time during my past career, and I've lost a little bit touch of what's happening in Dubai. But I think more importantly, it would be interesting to learn about your journey, what inspired you to move to Dubai, and how that then developed to a career that you have now.
Sure. Thank you so much. I just want to say thank you so much for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. So going back to my, let's say, earlier days, and obviously when we first connected, Sam, obviously, as you mentioned, I've been here since 2006. So I initially got headhunted by a media company to come and work out here called Great Business Communications. Initially, that was back in 2005. I accepted the position and at the tail end of 2005 and came out here in 2006. But I had the opportunity of actually working from the office in South Africa and I had South Africa and Dubai. But there was something about Dubai that was really intriguing. I've heard so much about the Middle East, in particular in Dubai, how much is multicultural. It's a safe place, and obviously at that time it was tax free, so. There was no hesitation on that front because I was always looking for an opportunity abroad. So Dubai popped up, and I thought it was the right time.
Very good. What's interesting now is that you work for a company, and then you decided to start your own. What was sort of that inspiration, or what triggered you to start your own company eventually?
I mean, to be honest with you, I've always kind of had that entrepreneurial flair from my early kind of career days. But I think for me personally, it was just a personal growth and personal journey that I went through throughout the years of working in the corporate field. I've worked in London, I've worked in New York, and now in Dubai. I've been here almost 18 years now, Sam. But one of the things that kind of stuck out for me when I first opened my agency 2 years ago was when I was working, throughout the, let's say, the COVID period was quite a challenge, internally for anyone going through that situation. And I remember going through that period and also coming out of it very, very strong in terms of numbers, figures, and pipeline. We had a very good year that year. And I went back to the UK quickly just to see my kids and visit my daughter. It was her birthday. And this is coming off the back end of working, 9-10 hour days, sometimes during the weekend. So I went back during the Easter period just to celebrate that period with my daughter and my family. And after being back home for 3 days, I got a call from my then, boss, I should per se, saying that I had to come back. There was a crisis. The client was upset with one of the account managers at the time. The handover wasn't substantial enough, and I had to come back and sort it out. So I had to break the news to my daughter. She wasn't happy at the time. She was, she burst into tears, and at that point, I just thought to myself, "There's really no empathy in the workplace." And for me, starting my own agency, that's one of my key pillars, is having empathy in the workplace and having empathy and compassion for the people that's around you. I want to create that kind of culture where I am approachable, and people shouldn't be afraid to ask questions. And, at the end of the day, as well as I'm helping my staff, my colleagues, feed their families, they're actually helping me do the same, and the respect is there. So for me, that was a turning point in my career where I just said, when I get back, I need to actually start looking at something to do and start my own business.
Yeah, I mean, this is actually a kind of a brave move of you to start something on your own, considering there's a lot of competition in Dubai, and then basically you're showing your own business card rather than working for maybe a bigger company and so on.
Yeah.
So, what were sort of the initial learnings for you that you started your own company in Dubai? Just doing the setup and I know you must have a lot of relationships in place, but just the practicality, how it is, because some people maybe who are listening here, they are saying, well, I should consider Dubai. So that in mind, it would be great if you could share some of your own experiences and winnings and maybe some challenges.
Absolutely. I think it's very important, if you do your research, you understand the landscape, you work out whether you want a kind of a land company or a free zone, depending on your activity. And I would definitely say, not shop around, but do your research and inquire personally to the free zones or to the entities yourself directly, and don't go through an agent. An agent will charge you an arm and a leg. Better for you to go directly and try and negotiate the package that's right for you and right for your business setup at that given time, depending on your activity. And also simultaneously, also check out the banking system and make sure you're with the right bank that suits you. There's obviously you have an abundance of banking options over here, but some banks charge specific fees, or you need a minimum balance. So it all depends on your activity, really, Sam.
Yeah. For those who don't know, what is a free zone?
So a free zone is just basically an area where you can trade out of, having like a hot desk. You don't necessarily need an office space per se, and it's very well equipped for the entrepreneur who is starting out small, doesn't have like a massive team. It could be an individual freelancer, etc. And there's many different benefits from having a free zone in terms of cutting through certain red tape and banking systems and stuff like that.
Yeah. I remember those days also. I mean, I went to a free zone and I found that very useful with the kind of work I had. But I also remember the challenges of opening a bank account in Dubai. It took a little bit of time to get all the paperwork done.
That's true. Yes, of course. I mean, it does take time, but it's worth it in the end. At the end of the day, it's your business, it's your baby, and as long as you're organized and patience as well is another phrase that I can put in there. As long as you've got patience, then everything will work out for sure. I mean, Dubai is set up for entrepreneurial people who come up with creative ideas. This is a very innovative place, and it definitely welcomes creative people and just entrepreneurs per se.
Yeah. So were you like a solopreneur, or did you have already a partner or somebody that you partnered with when you start your company, or how was your kind of setup at that time?
So my setup, basically, while I was obviously working, there was specific projects that I was working on simultaneously. That wasn't related to the job I was doing at the time, PR and stuff like this. But when I first started initially, I started off by myself. And that was a learning curve in itself, Sam, because obviously I was the accountant, I was the PRO, I was the tax advisor, the creative designer. So I had all the elements and facets, and obviously working from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock at night, it's not sustainable. But I did enjoy the journey because obviously I was working for myself, and that was a beautiful thing of working for yourself and seeing the end product. For me, that was just phenomenal. But as my business has grown, and obviously as I've taken on more clients and diversified the portfolio of Spearhead Creativity, I've partnered with another agency called UNOR, and there's a lady called Huda Naji, who's my business partner and my managing partner. And she manages kind of the digital marketing, the influencer marketing, and the event space per se for some of our clients, where I manage the kind of strategy, the development, the branding elements, and the storytelling, which is something I love doing.
Yeah. Well, that's great. Yeah, and I think this is a great learning curve. First of all, you're wearing several hats at the same time, but eventually you can
exactly.
You have somebody that you can create a trust and somebody you can work with, because that gives you the security of developing growth for the company and so on.
Exactly. You have to learn to delegate. That's the aim of the game. Delegate. When you delegate and you understand, Sam, what you're good at and what you need kind of help on, this is the time when you need to kind of delegate those tasks. No matter how much, I love my business and what I do, and I'm very hands-on. Learning to delegate is one of the most interesting and fascinating things you can do as an entrepreneur for sure, because then you understand exactly what you're good at and how you can influence your team and your staff and motivate them, and encourage them and be grateful for what they're doing, because actually at the end of the day they're creating the legacy that you're in this space for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned at the discussion we have had that you have a focus on hospitality industry, and Dubai being, and not only Dubai, but the region being a very dynamic kind of environment for hospitality. How do you go
Yes.
about identifying potential leads where you are and pitching for a service to them? Because there you have corporate hotel chains, or you have individual hotels. Just if you can share some of your approach to this, to getting those.
Abs- abs-
Very,
Absolutely, Sam. So, I mean, I've been here for a long time. My background's marketing, media, branding, communications, and PR. I worked for one of the largest publishing houses in the region, ITP Media. And so, obviously, working on Time Out or Arabian Business, you kind of indulge yourself into that mix. Dubai is a place where I would say it's not what you know, it's kind of who you know. So, I've obviously worked alongside, specific individuals who were probably juniors when I first started here in my career, and now senior members of teams, leading teams in the corporate field in hospitality. So I think it's just a case of networking is very, very important. I attend trade shows, I go to seminars, I try to participate where possible in specific programs and discussion panels or fireside chats. Arabian Travel Market is a big event for the region here, so I'm always there every year. So I think it's great to work with an individual property and immerse yourself in that property in terms of a hotel or a restaurant per se. But when you kind of establish yourself as a key figurehead and have the knowledge and the know-how to approach and work with the corporate team, it's a different kettle of fish, because with the pre-opening teams, they've got a roadmap of, let's say, 15 to 20 hotels to roll out across the region. And that's when you're working with the pre-opening teams when it comes to strategy, development, positioning. And then subsequently, I've been very fortunate to work with pre-opening teams across the region, but also some of the pre-opening teams that I've worked with, whether that's Accor, Hyatt, Jumeirah, etc. Most of them would have specific assets within the property. So then you're working with the F&B director who's opening up a restaurant or the cafe or the all-day dining, and then that's when you kind of have to tell the story about the brand, the positioning, and also look at the restaurant and all the other touch points that go along with that. And unfortunately, for me, I've managed to work on specific projects like that, but also deep dived into the DNA of the product and subsequently picked up contracts on the back of the opening, whether that's a PR retainer or social media retainer, content development, which has been phenomenal.
yeah. Are these like one-time off project, or is some continuity for you when you do these deals? How does it work for you in the region?
No, normally, fingers crossed, you do a good job at the beginning, and it lasts a bit longer than the 2 or 3 months period that you've been hired for. So I've got a very, very strong success rate. So I've got a phenomenal team behind me. So normally we pick up contracts, but based on a 6 months to 1 year basis.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's not just in Dubai, but across the regions per se, and now into Asia.
Oh yeah. So when you talk about the region, where are you what are the areas where you are providing your services in the region?
So right now we're doing quite a lot now in Dubai, obviously, because there's a massive buzz. Dubai and Abu Dhabi, Sharjah and Ras Al Khaimah per se for this part of the Emirates. And then I'm doing a lot of business in Saudi Arabia. So I'm working with specific Saudi tech companies, startups, and also a couple of hospitality clients in Saudi as well, which has been great.
That's terrific. Can you just share, I mean, the nuances? What is the difference about working in the different Emirates or even in the different, let's say, Qatar or Saudi Arabia to United Arab Emirates? Just because you have the insight now, you've been there long enough.
I would say, obviously there's different cultures, right? So there's a different mix of cultures. Working with Emiratis is different than working with Qataris, for example. There is a difference. But I mean, it's this region is just fascinating. We've got over 190 different nationalities here, people from different backgrounds, religions, races, and it's a mix. And I like to immerse myself in the culture and embrace the culture. I love to travel as well. I think it's important to travel and understand different cultures. So here is just a metropolis of experiences. So yeah, I mean, each region has its own difference and its own regulations and its own cultural mixes. So as long as you immerse yourself in each culture and welcome that and respect it, you would flourish.
Yeah, that's very, very important. I'm also the region is also very unique in a sense that and I'm also interested to learn about your experience with various government entities. There are family offices, there are royal family members who have their own companies and their family offices. How do you navigate those important relationships?
I think, to be honest with you, I think your circle definitely is something that is very powerful here in the region. If you've got a strong circle, you don't need multiple people. I don't need a pack of wolves, right? You just need a strong mixture of different cultural and friends and relationships. But with regards to the family offices, I've worked with different family offices across the region. So not just here in the Middle East, but in the UK, in USA, and other parts of Asia. So that mix is quite unique and quite different. So I get invited to a lot of family office gatherings. I'm the head of government relations for a company called Virtual, which is a platform set up for family offices. It's a virtual space working on V2, V3 type web seminars and conferences, and the technology behind the Web3 is just phenomenal. So that brings together family offices from around the globe on a virtual space, which is very secure and very interactive. And we're doing that now. We're rolling that out as a pilot in the government entities now as well. We're working and doing test piloting for the IFC, et cetera, et cetera. But moving to the other side, which is the royal family side, it's a unique space to be in. And I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had working with members of the royal family in this region, traveling and doing businesses and negotiating contracts and deals. It's been a phenomenal experience and one I'm very, very grateful for.
Yeah. Are there any unique benefits or maybe perhaps challenges that you have to be aware of when you are that comes with those high-profile partnerships?
Family offices, no, but I mean, when you're working with royal family, they can get a bit protective over you. So, if I'm working with one person, within the family, within the royal family group, I can't really work with another, if that makes sense. Because
Yes.
I'm not saying there's a rivalry, but there's a protection that I need that there is around me. So, and there's a protocol as well in terms of information that I can discuss and talk about. So I need to be mindful of that. But there's no real challenges. You just got to be mindful of how you present yourself. You've got to be mindful of how you are in public, and you've got to be mindful just in general. You just got to be respectful. That's the bottom line, really. And hopefully you'll be able to make some connections and make some business on the way.
Yeah, sure. And no, I remember that very clearly. That and also, I mean, during the time I was there, I was trying to figure out who is who, because usually there was a time when somebody said, "Well, maybe you have an opportunity to make the sheikh." So I was wondering, well, okay, well, can you give me a little bit more information who that sheikh would be? So I get the name, first name. I said, well, I need a little bit more than that. And then I got the last name. No, a little bit more than that. So I had to ask the question, well, what was the name of the father or the grandfather? And kind of understanding from what part of a large family or a clan or a tribe, if you will, who that person is, whether he's a government person, or is it actually a business person? So those were actually my learnings. I remember at the time there was you could actually subscribe to a kind of a family tree, and where they updated
Yes.
all the male members of a family, so you can because it can be quite confusing to navigate who is who, because there are some familiar names, but there's always that important difference on the father or the grandfather. Is that how you have seen it also?
Yeah, I mean, that's what we portray, right? That's the image that we portray in our heads because this is what we hear. But if you're actually with, these individuals and understand them and work with them, then you get to find out the kind of the real deal.
Yeah.
Um, so I'll give you an example. I mean, I was working for a member of the royal family, and this gentleman was pretty. There's a ranking system, so I didn't know there was this before, but there is a rank. So depending how close you are to obviously to mother and father, depends on your ranking. So I was working for a member of the royal family, Emirati royal family here, and he was the fourth child out of 32 children. So you can imagine that there's sheikhs, there's princesses, and etc. So the further down the line you are, the less kind of privileged you are. But it depends on the relationship you have with the parents as well. So it's quite unique in a sense. But yeah, I mean, if you're meeting a sheikh could be either a member of the royal family or it could be a person of wealth. So not
Yes.
necessarily a royal person. It could be a person of wealth or a person whose family has been here for, from the beginning, for generations.
Yeah. Okay, very
So
interesting, because this is something which is very unique to the region, and for the listeners, if you are planning to have a future and a career in the region, those are very important tips now that Paul has been giving. Because I learned also early on, and I'm glad I had a mentor at that time who gave me those valuable tips. That because it's very you have to be very mindful and very respectful, and also understand that what those relationships can mean, and what the expectations on you are from them, that you are delivering on promise. And so that's very, very important tips that you have shared already. But
thank you.
let's move on to Dubai, and being a very dynamic place, not only Dubai, but in general the region. You have noticed some trends over there of what has developed, particularly in hospitality. What are things that are, what is sort of the hot topics now in we are talking about technologies and so on. Where do you see where the area has been
I
developing? And
think I think AI at the moment is playing a massive role in the way we think and the way we see things at the moment. So in terms of technology and the AI landscape, it's so diverse at the moment. There's so many new projects and new technologies coming into the market. I've launched just now. I've launched an app for the travel industry called Safaway. So we launched that last month, and it's had a tremendous response from the marketplace. It's been around for the last 5 years, but they've never had a representation office, should I say, in the region. So we opened up the office last month, and that uses AI technology. It's a travel app where you can go on there and you can interact with clients or interact with customers. One of our biggest partners, or actually our main partner, is Booking.com. But it's like a Booking.com slash Facebook. So it's quite interactive. It's quite social. So check it out. It's called Safaway. Please download the app and visit the website and check it out. And another project that I'm working on as well is a project called AskQX. So AskQX is actually launching actually this month. So I'm giving you the scoop. So this month, coming at the Museum of the Future on the 2nd of November. Massive launch. Again, it's a project that's been worked on for the last 6 years, but now it's actually going to go into the market with a huge bang. And what this project is using is obviously AI and quantum technology. So the project itself is actually going up against OpenAI and Microsoft. So similar to ChatGPT, but in over 100 plus languages. So as well as text to text, it does text to image and image to text in over 100 different languages. And what this is doing is, we're starting to implement this now into specific hotel chains and hotel groups in the region. So as well as having your website where you can go on and a customer can actually view your pricing and book their stay, they can now chat to a chatbot in over 100 different languages. So this also increases your traffic and increases the interaction on your site. So, for example, if I'm coming to Dubai and I'm coming here for 2 days, I'll type into the search engine. I could type in like, I'm in Dubai for 2 days, give me an itinerary, and it will give you a full itinerary of what you can see or do within the 2 days. It will give you the times to go. If you have a budget, it will give you the budget allocation and give you the budget allocation and suit your map or where you want to go during the time. It will give you restaurant recommendations. So it's absolutely phenomenal, and it will do it in within 15, 20 seconds of you doing the search. So not only does that enable your customers to feel welcome, but it also enables more traffic to come to the site, more inquiries, and also the viewing points. So someone staying on, or the people staying on the website will increase, like the volume will increase, but also the duration of this time on the website will increase. So which is great. So I think AI is definitely something that's going to be a focal point for the hospitality industry in the next 5 years, 100%.
Sure. It already is. I mean, just think about that. Publicly, the Chat GPT only is roughly a year old publicly. I mean, a little bit more or less than that. So, and now everybody has been jumping into it. And I realize that one has to be really mindful when you read something that has been produced from these AIs, that you have to be very critical between the lines. But that's a different story. But your app and all that's terrific in creating a experience for a traveler within the certain budget restrictions or interest and so on. So that's a terrific thing. Great stuff. Good. Now the Dubai can be the region can be it's dynamic, but it can also be very, very difficult for the first time when you arrive, and you kind of see sort of that bling Dubai, and you think this is how life is, which we know that it's only a reality show. But what are some practical tips you would give if if you would be coming, Paul, for the first time 18 years ago, and you know exactly what you know now, what tips would you have given to your younger self when you came to Dubai?
Younger self, I would say probably choose your friends wisely. Immerse yourself into the culture, which I've been doing anyway. But certainly don't always watch Al Jazeera, and certainly don't watch Bling Dubai. But I would say just embrace the place where you are, because Dubai is just a phenomenal place. It's a phenomenal place to meet people. It's a phenomenal place to do business, and just be mindful of the circle around you. That's very important. Make sure you've got a good circle of people around you. And just be yourself. Don't try and be like someone on Bling Dubai, which is not real. Just be yourself, and the people around you and the abundance that you'll create will be phenomenal.
Yeah. So, what would be sort of a favorite thing that Paul Williams likes to do when he has time on his hand, that he can do some favorite activity?
Well, I'm quite active, so I like sports. So I do like to watch sport, but I also like to play sports. So I play paddle tennis, squash, tennis. I swim. I like to read books by the beach and just meditate. I think that's important, just to clear your head and lock away for a while. And I'm quite social, so I like to go to not necessarily a fancy restaurant, but I like to go out and eat well and just relax with friends and just catch up and just general topics, affairs, sports, whatever it is that we're open to discussion, and just maybe a jazz bar now and again. That would be quite cool sometimes. If I'm not spending time with my family, that's me.
Very good. All right, I think we are coming to the end of our discussion today. And so, Paul, if somebody would like to connect with you, where can they find you, and where can you be reached if they want to ask for tips and advice?
Absolutely. So I'm very, very active on LinkedIn. So you can see me and connect with me on LinkedIn. So my profile is Paul Williams. Remember, there's only one Paul Williams. So I'm on LinkedIn. And also Spearhead Creativity. So my email address is ceo@spearheadcreativity.com. My website's spearheadcreativity.com, and also my social handle, which is spearheadcreativity.com. So if you want to reach out to me for any tips, advice, or just in general, I'm happy to receive your call.
Very good, Paul. Well, I appreciate for you joining today. So really, thanks for all the input you gave, and for all the viewers and listeners. Please write in the comments if you have any particular. What is your top 3 priorities for you when you travel to the region? What are the things that you like to learn, and what are the things that you like to give? So thanks to Paul, and it has been a great opportunity to speak with you.
You're welcome, Sam. You're welcome. I really appreciate your time, and I think it's very important that, again, as an entrepreneur, the number one thing I would say is just believe in yourself. Believe in your capabilities, believe in yourself, love yourself, and don't worry about what anyone says, or any doubts in your mind from any other people. Just focus on you. Don't worry about the haters. Allow that to fuel your desire. And just be yourself. Just be yourself. That's the most important thing, because you have to be yourself, and you have to really believe in yourself. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then no one else is going to believe in you. So just go out there and do your thing. I've worked, in toxic environments. I've worked for great entrepreneurs and leaders, and I'm very grateful for all of the experience I've had. But there has been time when people have doubted me. There has been time when someone's tried to put me down. But look at me now, and look where I am. And don't allow anyone to say anything to you or put you down, because that's basically a reflection of their own insecurity. So just go out there, do you, be happy, and that's it. So thank you so much, Sam. I really appreciate it. God bless, and thank you so much for the opportunity.